This phenomenon is able to be understood with the fact that the definition of the preposition is conveyed to the object of the preposition to indicate the experience, condition, or action reliant on the point in time when the definition of the verb is actualized. There is a clause, the bird gets a piece of bread for feeding the child. The preposition for is applied in this clause, and the object of the preposition for is indicated by a gerund feeding. The subject of the preposition for is indicated by a noun, bread. And the object indicated by the noun bread is the object of the preposition of. So we can understand that the subject of the preposition of as the core of the unit in the mediation by the preposition of. So we can understand that the direct subject of the preposition for is the subject indicated by the noun bread, and the preposition of the subject of the preposition bread is the object of the preposition of, whose subject is indicated by a noun piece. And so we can understand that the indirect subject of the preposition for is indicated by the noun piece, and the subject of the preposition of piece is described by a determiner of, and the phrase a piece of bread is applied as a unit in this clause, and the subject of the preposition of piece is the important factor constituent of the phrase of the noun piece. This clause, the bird gets a piece of bread for feeding the child, is about the subject, the bird. And the subject, the bird, is described by only verb, that is the transitive verb get. So we can understand that this clause is about the action of the subject, the bird, and the action of the subject is described by the transitive verb get. The transitive verb get mediates the subject-object relationship between the subject, the bird, and the object, the direct object, the object, a piece of bread. So we can also understand that the indirect object, the more indirect object of the preposition for is the subject of this clause, the bird. The bird start and give the definition of the transitive verb get to the object indicated by the phrase of the noun, a piece of bread. A piece of bread has the role as the subject of the preposition for. So the subject of the preposition for starts and gives the definition of the preposition for to the object, feeding, and the gerund feeding originates from the transitive verb feed. So we can understand that the phrase of a noun, the child, is the object of the gerund whose origin is the transitive verb feed. As we understand that the subject of the preposition for is the phrase a piece of bread, so we can understand that the speaker sets the premise that the subject of the preposition for a piece of bread exists at first to understand and to interpret the definition of the preposition for. The definition of the preposition for specifies the existence of the subject that is described to exist at a point in time when the definition of the transitive verb get is transited from the subject at the present. From the form of the transitive verb get, we can understand that the mediation of the preposition for as well as the mediation of the preposition of actualize at the present. From the form of the transitive verb get, that reveals that this clause is stated in the present tense. The definition of the preposition for reveals the purpose of the existence of the subject at the present. According to this clause, the subject, a piece of bread, exists at the present, and this point, this present is stated at a point in time according to the prior context, and the definition of the preposition for specifies the present into a period as the premise to discuss the action indicated by the gerund feeding. The form of the gerund feeding reveals that the action described by the gerund feeding lasts during a period. The period is specified from the definition of the preposition for as a purpose. The subject exists at the present as a point in time, and the point in time is specified into a period, and the reason for specifying the point in time at the present is that the point in time is the purpose of specifying the point in time into a period. The subject intends to exist during a period. The subject purposes to exist during a period. The period is a part of the present. This can be understood from the fact that according to the perspective of the speaker, we can set on a year as the point in time. To define the present. The other speaker can set a month as a point in time to define the present. This is discernible with the definition of the preposition to. The definition of the preposition to reveals the purpose of the existence of the subject is later than the definition of the verb is actualized. The purpose at the present and the purpose for the near future later than the actualization of the verb in the clause can be understood as the difference between the two prepositions, the preposition to and the preposition for. The definition of the two prepositions is the same, but the difference between the actualization or the difference between the time for the purpose can be understood as the deviation between the two prepositions. We studied that the preposition does not reveal the information about the actualization, but the definition of the preposition to reveals that the subject exists at the point in time according to the tense of the clause. Let's suppose that the clause is stated in the present tense. The subject of the preposition to exists at the present. And the subject has a purpose to be actualized later than the present. The purpose in the near future or future. We will think of the clause that the preposition for is applied. The subject exists at the present, and the speaker said the purpose is actualized into a period when the subject exists. The purpose is described to be actualized at a point in time when the subject exists. this is according to the definition of the preposition for, and according to the definition of the preposition to, the point in time when the subject of the preposition to exists and have the purpose is earlier than the actualization of the purpose in the near future. The subject, so we can understand that the preposition for specifies the point in time when the subject, a piece of bread, exists at the present, and the point in time at the present is specified into a period as the purpose of the subject indicated by a purpose of actualizing the action described by the gerund, feeding. The subject, the word, conveys the action indicated by the transitive verb get to the object, a piece of bread, of the transitive verb. The word, subject of this clause, conveys the action indicated by, described by the transitive verb get to the object, a piece of bread, of the transitive verb. The definition of the preposition of reveals that the subject of the preposition of is included in the object of the preposition bread. And from this definition, the subject of the preposition of and the object of the preposition of have and share the same characteristic. We can think of that the subject of the preposition of a piece is the representative of the object of the preposition of. The object of the transitive verb is the subject of the preposition. The speaker emphasizes the point in time when the subject, the bird, conveys the action indicated by the transitive verb get to the object, a piece of bread, of the transitive verb in a way to specify it as the period when the subject, a piece of bread, of the preposition for actualizes the definition of the preposition. So the object of the preposition has the form of the gerund feeding to reveal the concurrency with the actualization of the action indicated by the transitive verb get. There is the second clause. The bird gets a piece of bread for having fed the children. In this clause, the object of the transitive verb, the object of the preposition for is indicated by the gerund having. The object of the preposition having is described by the past participle fed. We can think of the clause stated in the perfect tense. In the clause stated in the perfect tense, the intransitive verb have is applied, and the past participle that has the trait as an adverb specifies the definition of the intransitive verb, because the experience stated in the clause is about how the experience of the subject is. So we can understand that the past participle fat has a trait as an adverb, and the past participle fat is supposed to describe the definition of the intransitive verb have, but in this phrase of the gerund having fed the children, the intransitive verb have has the form of a gerund as an indicative word.